Imagine this. You've spent, like, months, maybe even the better part of a year, just completely immersing yourself in studying cybersecurity.
Right. Burning the midnight oil.
Oh, exactly. You've got the certifications, you've been, building those home labs. Your eyes are just totally blurry from staring at terminal screens late into the night.
We have all been there.
Yeah. And you are finally ready to launch your career, so you're scrolling through a job board and you spot it. The Holy Grail. A posting for a junior SOC analyst.
The dream entry-level role.
Perfect, right. But then you start reading the actual requirements and your jaw just drops because they aren't asking for a junior analyst at all.
No, they almost never are.
They're asking for the combined seasoned skills of an entire veteran IT department. So you just sit there and that familiar imposter syndrome starts creeping in and you're wondering, is it me? Do I actually know nothing?
It is, it's an incredibly discouraging experience for anyone trying to break into the field right now. Looking at what is supposed to be the front door to your new career, and it just looks like a bank vault secured by lasers.
Lasers and like a moat filled with alligators?
Exactly. And the thing is, the cybersecurity industry is famously almost desperately hungry for talent. I mean, we hear about the global skills gap constantly, right?
Every single day, there's always an article about it.
Yeah, yet the entry point is just shrouded in this dense fog of misinformation, impossible demands, and sometimes actually malicious intent.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here is the ultimate irony revealed in our sources today.
Which is what, exactly?
That sometimes the very first threat a cybersecurity professional has to detect and mitigate is the job post itself.
Wow. The job post is the first active threat on the network. I love that framing, and it is just so terrifyingly true based on the data we're looking at today.
It really is.
Okay, let's unpack this. We've got our hands on a really fascinating analysis of 50 different fake, misleading, or just downright bizarre job postings. And our mission today is to help you, the listener, decode this madness.
It is an absolute minefield out there.
It really is. So we're going to separate the outright scams from the, poorly written corporate ads. And by the end of this deep dive, you're going to know how to read a job board the exact same way a seasoned analyst reads a network log.
I love that. Looking for anomalies.
Exactly. So let's start with the most common illusion we found in the data, where the title of the job lives in a completely different reality than the fine print.
Right, the classic bait and switch. The mismatch usually starts right at the top of the page. The title will say something highly welcoming, junior SOC analyst or analyst and I, or entry-level cybersecurity professional.
Sounds great so far.
Right. Roll down to the daily responsibilities, and suddenly, boom, you are expected to operate like a one-person army.
Yeah, the text points out that these so-called junior roles are demanding the applicant lead entire incident remediations or respond to full-scale enterprise breaches.
Which is just wild.
It is. Advanced detection rules from scratch, independently manage complex cloud alerts across multiple platforms. I mean, that seems wild to me, considering the foundation of the role. A true entry-level position has a very defined, specific scope, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The reality of an entry-level role, a real one, revolves around alert triage and log review. That's the core of it.
So just making sense of the noise.
Yes, it's doing the basic initial investigation. You document what you see in a ticketing system, and then, and this is key, you escalate it to a senior analyst if it looks genuinely suspicious.
You pass it up the chain.
Right.
Yeah.
If a company expects you to own the full incident response process from day one, like from the moment an alert fires all the way through to eradicating the attacker and recovering the systems, that is fundamentally not an entry-level position.
No, that sounds like a massive liability for the company, honestly.
It is. It requires a level of architectural understanding that, frankly, takes years to develop. You can't just expect that from someone fresh out of a certification program.
Which perfectly explains the experience paradox our source highlighted. These junior roles are explicitly asking for 3 to 5 years of professional, hands-on cybersecurity experience.
The dreaded 3 to 5 year trap.
It makes no logical sense. I mean, how can it be entry level if you need half a decade of experience just to pass the HR filter?
You can't. It's a contradiction.
And that brings us to the most visible, intimidating part of these postings, the tool list.
Oh boy. The dreaded laundry list of vendor software.
It's unbelievable. I'm just going to read a partial list from one of the postings analyzed here. Just partial. Okay.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
They wanted experience with Splunk, QRadar, Sentinel, CrowdStrike, Defender, Nessus, Wireshark, AWS, Azure, Kubernetes, Python, PowerShell, Linux, Active Directory, and threat intelligence platforms.
And that was for a junior role.
All for a junior role. I mean, it's like a restaurant hiring a junior prep cook, but requiring them to have 5 years of experience as an executive chef, know how to cook every global cuisine flawlessly, and bring their own Michelin stars to the interview.
That is the perfect analogy.
Yeah.
It is absurd. And, expecting a junior analyst to have hands-on administration experience with something as complex as a Kubernetes cluster, it just proves the person writing the description doesn't understand the job.
They're just throwing words at a page.
Exactly. A junior analyst might need to look at the logs generated by a containerized environment, sure, but they certainly aren't architecting it.
Right. They aren't building the thing.
When the requirement spans the entire cybersecurity universe like that, it just shows the job description is completely detached from operational reality.
Looking at this through a technical lens, it feels less like a real job description and more like a poorly tuned firewall.
Ooh, say more about that.
Well, it's blocking all the legitimate traffic, right? Good, eager, entry-level candidates who are honest about their skills. They see that list and they bounce, while letting through all the malicious traffic-meaning people who just keyword stuff their resumes and lie just to get an interview.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it, yes. HR filtering algorithms act exactly like badly configured firewalls.
So we have to ask, why do companies configure their hiring process this way? Is it on purpose?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is an employer deliberately seeking cheap labor. They want mid-level skills, but they only want to pay an entry-level salary.
The classic budget constraint.
Right. But other times, it's sheer laziness. A hiring manager might just copy-paste a job description from a senior engineering role because they just don't have a template for a junior analyst.
Oh, wow. So they just reuse the senior one and slap junior on the title.
Happens all the time. And very often, it is a recruiter who simply throws every cybersecurity buzzword they've ever heard into the document to, cast the widest net possible.
So it's a giant keyword salad just to see what sticks. But what does a listener do when they face that wall of text? I mean, it's so discouraging.
Well, the source gives a really reassuring piece of advice here. It emphasizes that you don't actually need to know every single tool because the tools constantly change anyway.
Okay, so what do you need to know then?
What matters is understanding the analytical workflow. Let's take a SEM, for example, a security information and event management system.
Right, the central nervous system of the SOC.
Exactly. The source stresses that you don't need to memorize the proprietary query language for every single SIEM on the market. That's impossible. You just need to understand how a SIEM functions.
So understanding the concept rather than the specific software.
Yes. It aggregates logs from firewalls, servers, and endpoints across the network. It correlates those events, and it generates an alert if it detects an anomaly.
It's the same, regardless of the logo on the dashboard.
Precise.
An alert happens. You check the logs. You ask the fundamental questions. Who did it? From where? On what system? At what time? And, what happened next?
And based on those answers, you make a decision. Is this normal activity? Is it suspicious? Or does it need immediate escalation?
So that workflow is really the core of analytical thinking.
It is. If you understand the underlying mechanism of how systems talk to each other, you can learn any vendor's specific interface on the job.
They can teach you the buttons to click?
Right. But if you only memorize which buttons to click in one specific tool without understanding that investigative workflow, you won't be effective when the company inevitably changes vendors in 2 years.
That definitely takes some of the pressure off, I think. But if the technical demands are a wall of impossible acronyms, the research also explores how these posts hide behind corporate buzzwords to mask what the job actually is.
Yeah, this is a huge problem too.
Let's move into how vague language is used to manipulate applicants. We're transitioning from what they want you to know to what they want you to actually do.
We see a major transition here, yeah. Companies avoid telling you what your daily life will look like. The source found posts relying on incredibly impressive but totally empty phrases.
Like what? What kind of phrases?
Things like protect our digital ecosystem, or defend against advanced persistent threats, or support world-class cyber operations.
Oh my gosh, they sound like dialogue from a blockbuster action movie, not like a Tuesday morning shift in a cubicle.
Exactly. You're an entry-level analyst, not James Bond. The source warns that if the post cannot explain the actual day-to-day tasks, like reviewing alerts, monitoring dashboards, or investigating failed logins, you need to be very careful.
But I want to push back on this for a second, actually.
Okay, good.
Because every company wants to sound like they're saving the world on their corporate About Us page, right? Isn't that just standard marketing speak?
It is common, yes.
So if a listener has been studying for months and they just need to get their foot in the door, should they really care if the language is a little fluffy? Or even if the salary being offered is well below market rate, shouldn't people just take what they can get to start out?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of how a security operations center functions, we see why that foot-in-the-door mindset can actually be quite dangerous.
Really? How so?
Low salary or a bunch of buzzwords might not automatically mean the job is a literal scam, but they are massive, flashing warning signs about the organization's maturity and their expectations. Vague language usually means a lack of procedures.
Meaning they don't actually have a plan for you when you show up.
Language to hide the fact that there are no clear runbooks or playbooks to follow, or if they are demanding high-level certifications and night shift availability for minimum wage, they're setting you up for failure.
Because you're just flying blind.
Yes. In a SOC environment, you are dealing with a fire hose of alerts, entering a role where the expectations are senior level, but the pay, structure, and support are entry level. That is a fast track to severe burnout.
Getting your foot in the door, you might be getting it slammed on your foot.
That's a good way to put it. A legitimate entry-level job will be clear about your duties because they have an actual documented plan for how to utilize and train a junior analyst.
That makes total sense. If they can't articulate the daily workflow, they definitely don't have the infrastructure to support a newcomer.
They really don't.
So we've covered the badly written jobs and the exploitative jobs, but our source material highlights something much more malicious. Let's talk about the postings that aren't just poorly constructed, but are actively hunting the applicant.
Yeah, this is where we cross the line from bad corporate practices into outright scams designed for data harvesting and financial fraud.
It's so scary. The source found that these phantom postings will ask for sensitive information incredibly early in the process. Like, they are demanding your social security number, your direct deposit bank details, or scanned copies of your driver's license.
And this is before you have even had a face-to-face or video interview.
Right, before you even know if the company is real.
Which is a classic vector for identity theft. I mean, look, a legitimate employer will absolutely need your tax information and proof of identity eventually to process your employment and run a background check.
Sure, HR needs that stuff.
But never at the beginning of the process. The early stages should require absolutely nothing more than a resume, basic contact info, and maybe a technical screening assessment.
And the mechanism behind this is what makes it so lucrative for the scammers, right? Because they aren't just stealing your SSN, they're building a profile.
Exactly. They are monetizing your eagerness. By packaging your social security number, your home address, and the detailed employment history found on your resume, they can create a complete synthetic identity.
That is just brutal. And what do they do with that?
They sell these profiles on dark web marketplaces, or they use them directly to open fraudulent credit lines or apply for loans in your name.
By keeping the company details intentionally muddy. The research points out a massive red flag. No company clarity.
Right, the phantom companies.
The job post doesn't list the company name, there's no link to a corporate website, no physical location, and no clear business purpose. The job it only exists in the vacuum of one single random job board.
And they pair that anonymity with intense psychological pressure. These fake posts heavily rely on artificial urgency.
Oh, like act now.
Yes. We need to hire immediately. Interview today, start tomorrow, or complete this background screening form right now to secure your spot.
Here's where it's interesting to me. Think about who these scams are targeting. They are creating fake urgency. They are dangling these too good to be true remote roles, entry-level remote SOC, with no set schedule and promises of easy money.
Right.
These scammers are basically using textbook social engineering tactics, but they are targeting the exact group of people who are currently studying how to spot and stop social engineering. It's a wild irony.
It is a wild irony, but it works because of the psychology of the job hunt. Urgency is a psychological tool specifically designed to bypass your critical thinking faculties.
It puts you in a panic state.
Desperate for that first break in your career, and an email says, respond with your details in 10 minutes to secure this interview. Your analytical brain shuts down.
How does you react?
Yes. Your reactive emotional brain takes over. The scammers know that entry-level cybersecurity candidates are eager, anxious, and used to moving fast.
They totally weaponize that imposter syndrome and desperation,
Right.
which is why the source emphasizes taking a hard look at the unrealistic promises, especially around remote work.
Really structured, even when it is remote.
Right, you can't just log on whenever you feel like it.
No, it requires strict shift coverage for handoffs, rigorous access control to sensitive client data, ticketing systems for accountability, and very rigid operational procedures.
So a job that promises you can just log in whenever from your couch, set your own hours, and make easy money hunting threats, that's a mirage.
It simply does not align with how security operations actually function in the real world.
Intense minefield here. We've gone from lazy HR algorithms acting like bad firewalls to exploitative sweatshops to literal identity thieves selling synthetic identities on the dark web.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. For the listener who might have like 15 tabs open right now looking at job boards and feeling a rising sense of panic, how do they actually navigate this? Should they just assume every single job posting is fake or exploitative? How do you hunt for a job when the hunters are actively hunting you?
This raises an important question, and it's perhaps the most important actionable takeaway from this entire analysis. The absolute worst thing you can do is panic or become so cynical that you stop applying.
Okay, so don't give up.
Do not give up. And do not assume every bad post is a fake post. Many are real, just terribly written by HR. The source's core advice is to reframe the entire experience. Your job hunt is your first practical exam.
I love that.
You board like an analyst.
Treat the application process as your first active investigation.
Exactly. You are looking for evidence. When you see a post, verify the data, just like you would verify an anomalous IP address.
Run it down.
If a company name is listed, investigate them. Go to LinkedIn and see if real human beings actually work there. Check if the company have a legitimate website with a cohesive business model.
And what if they don't?
Then you walk away. Most importantly, cross-reference the posting. Is this job listed on their official corporate careers page, or does it only exist on a third-party aggregator?
Basically, cross-reference your indicators of compromise. You are looking for consistency. 5 years of experience and an advanced management certification, that's a contradiction. It tells you the HR department is completely disconnected from the security team.
The role against a realistic baseline. A legitimate foundation for an entry-level SOC job involves exactly what we touched on earlier.
The triage stuff.
Monitoring alerts, reviewing logs, documenting findings, following established playbooks, and communicating clearly with senior analysts.
Out the learning curve, which I actually found incredibly validating.
Oh, the learning curve is everything.
Right. A real entry-level role involves learning things on the job. You might know what an EDR, an endpoint detection and response tool, does conceptually, but the company expects to teach you how their specific instance is configured.
Because every environment is totally different.
Exactly. You are getting comfortable with Windows Event IDs, networking basics, and their unique security procedures. You aren't expected to show up on day one knowing how to secure a massive cloud architecture all by yourself.
That is the critical distinction. A mature organization acknowledges that you are at the beginning of your journey.
They know you're green.
They want to see that you have the foundational knowledge, the curiosity, and the analytical mindset to learn their environment. They are hiring for potential and logic, not an impossible checklist of vendor tools.
So, to summarize the tactical advice for everyone listening, when you are out there staring down these job boards, fighting off that imposter syndrome, remember that a stack of impossibly demanding requirements, totally vague daily responsibilities, hyper-urgency, and requests for your social security number before you've even met a human being, these are major, verifiable red flags.
The massive red flags.
Do not just look at the title of the job. Read the requirements carefully. Look for contradictions. In the world of cybersecurity, investigating the job post is quite literally step one of the job. You are applying your skills before you even hit submit.
Well said. But before we wrap up, if we connect this to the broader landscape of cybersecurity warfare, there's a final thought I want to leave everyone with.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
Because it goes beyond a frustrating job search or even quick financial fraud.
We're talking about the long game here.
We are. Consider what happens when these incredibly detailed, hyper-specific fake job posts are deployed at a massive scale.
Across the whole industry.
stealing a bank account number? What if it is a deliberate, calculated tactic by advanced threat actors or nation-states?
Oh, wow. Think about the intelligence they are gathering from those applications.
Exactly. By putting out thousands of fake entry-level posts, they're collecting resumes from eager, newly trained analysts globally. They are learning what certifications you are taking, what home labs you are building, what defensive tools our universities are actually teaching,
They're mapping our defenses before we even deploy them.
and what your psychological profile looks like based on how you respond to their screening questions. They could be building highly detailed intelligence profiles on the exact generation of people who will be defending our critical infrastructure in 3 to 5 years.
That is chilling.
It forces you to ask a very serious question when you interact with a highly suspicious job post. Are you just applying for a job? Or are you unwittingly handing your entire defensive playbook directly to the adversary?
Completely changes the context of clicking quick apply. It really does. It brings us right back to where we started, you know? You're sitting there staring at your screen, trying to see through the noise.
And the noise is deafening.
It turns out that feeling you have, that the picture is muddy, that the system is somehow broken and nothing is as clear-cut as it seems, that feeling is completely valid. The job board isn't just a classified section anymore. It is an active threat landscape.
It truly is.
So stay sharp out there, trust your analytical instincts, and treat every single application as your first real investigation. Catch you on the next deep dive.